At the tender age of 11, the art of cutting hair ignited a passion within me. At 13, with dreams bigger than the city itself, I sent my resume to a renowned barbershop in London, looking for someone to give me a chance. And in a crazy twist of fate, one of the barbers I sit down with in this video was the very person who received my resume all those years ago. Now I have a chance to ask that one lingering question, the one that shadowed my barber journey from the start.
Welcome to my CV 30 years ago.
Wow, what does it this?
My name is Jay Adams, and this is the Barber Life.
It's gate 14, boarding 11:15.
Thank you, see you later, take care. After 36 hours of travelling from one side of the world to the other, I finally reached my hotel in Cardiff and I managed to get some sleep. The day had finally arrived. Bright and early next morning, I was up and ready to conquer the day. Hey guys, how you doing? It's Jay Adams here. We've just arrived in Cardiff, Wales, all the way from Melbourne. What a long journey we've had. We're just checking out the hotel this morning and now we're about to head off and meet up with Jack Ludlow. We're gonna go catch him. He's just down the road, 30 minutes away. Okay guys, let's do this. So we're just heading down to Bojangles. Gonna meet up with Jack Ludlow. I think Jack's brother also works there as well. I think it's two brothers. Jack and his brother there, they're making a good noise. They're part of the British Master Barber Association, so that's a well-renowned and respected trademark in the UK, if you want to call it that. It's very hard because there's no governing body in the UK. I started following Jack on Facebook and Instagram a few months ago. I seen he was doing good things for the industry. Also, he's got I think it's a charity he's an ambassador for, to prevent men from mental health and suicide, we're going to learn a little bit about that later on. I think especially that topic in the industry, men don't want to admit mental health and admit stuff, but being a barber, I mean myself for 15 years, you hear so many different stories, from cheating to family mishaps to fucking trouble, pain, lust, just crazy. You hear from behind the barber chair. You have to be mentally prepared to be a barber. Another thing is autism as well, you know, that's why we're going to see James, and James does his Autism Assemble, and we're going to meet up with these guys. It's good that these guys are picking a key topic which they are positive, and they're trying to do a positive thing in the industry for, and help people in regards to that issue, you know, and help other barbers as well. If some people, being a barber, it's not just about cutting hair, it's about being able to speak to people, being able to relate to people. Every person that sits in the chair, every barber has to relate to them, you know, whether that be about football, women, beer, UFC, talking about business, you're even talking about SpongeBob SquarePants.
A few moments later.
You know what I mean, you get a kid come in and you got to be able to talk about that. I mean, myself, I went into barbering. I was heavily involved in selling drugs and in gangs as a kid, and my boss took me under his wing and said, you're not doing that no more, you know, and that saved me, you know, like that. People always ask me, a question I always get asked is, what would I be doing if I didn't cut hair? And I wouldn't know what to do, you know. I was academic at school, but I don't really know, you know. I was more into messing around and causing trouble, getting involved with the police and stuff, and like I could have went down a bad path if it weren't for barbering. And I'm pretty sure throughout this documentary, you're going to find a lot more barbers tell you the same. You know, they're going to tell you, if I hadn't got into barbering saved my life. This industry saves people's lives, you know.
I was proper excited to meet Jack and his team because he was someone who I could personally relate to. We both started in barbering early in life, and as barbers, we both do more than just cut hair, as you're about to find out. What I actually never knew at the time of filming is a couple of years later, I would go on to work alongside Jack on a project in Norway. This one was special, so let's dive right in.
I've been cutting hair since I was 14 years old. I own Bojangles British Barber Club with my brother Daniel Ludlow, and I own a company called Barber Coach Academy. Well, as I said, I've been involved in the industry since I was 14 years old. I begun my apprenticeship by working with my mum. Her name's Michelle Ludlow. She owns Bojangles Hairdressers, which is 2 doors up. I begun my hairdressing with her, and then I decided I wanted to get involved in barbering as well. So I went off and I worked for numerous barbers, and I didn't really feel I was gaining what I needed to gain. So I did a few courses in London with Goldwell, and I just opened my own eyes up to it. I went off on my own and just developed my own way of cutting, and that's how I designed my 7 steps. I put all my knowledge into one and just went from there. But right now in the industry, I'm currently on the panel of City and Guilds Industry Steering Board. Big massive thanks to Adam Sloan for putting me there. So I mean, he's a great guy, he's doing a lot for the industry. I do various charity works, which we'll get to in a second. So right now we're sat in my barbershop that I own with my brother Daniel Ludlow. Like I said, I own a company called Barber Coach Academy. I'm an ambassador for Dapper Dan. They've recently won Styling Product of the Year, which is amazing. Big shout out to them. They're also a sponsor of my academy, which is real cool. But yeah, they're really good guys. But I do various things. Like I say, we'll get to the charities in a second. In the industry right now, like the City and Guilds panel it's real strong names. I work with people like Adam Sloan. Dan Davis is one of them on there. A lady called Alison Scattergood. MK as well. You've probably heard of MK. James Williams. Darren Pittman, he's another good guy. James Beattie's another good guy who I haven't worked with yet, which I would like to. I've got a lot of respect for these guys. Basically, when people hear my name in the industry, I'd like to think that they can see the difference that we're trying to make in raising the standards of the education system. They also know I'm part of the Lions Collective, which is founded by Tom Chapman and Pat Barry. It's all about suicide awareness, which is really good in what they're doing, because like we say, barbers work very closely with our clientele, and it gives us a chance to develop a personal relationship. So if anyone can spot anything, it would be us. Another thing I like to do is get involved in autism barbers. A guy, James Williams, he's an absolute legend. He's a real special guy in everything he's doing, and massive hats off to him for getting me involved. My top 5 barber tools would be my white C-Max series Joel scissor, my extended length series 7-inch Joel, a wild super taper, probably my wild D-cuts, a hairdryer. Do you know what I mean? 100% hairdryer. You've got your combs as well. Do you know what I mean? They're more essentials other than tools though. So yeah, hairdryer. If I wasn't barbering right now, I'd probably be doing something involved in trade, because my family are full of tradesmen, and that's what I probably would have done. Anything to keep me occupied. No problem.
And how long have you been coming out of Jack's Barbers for?
About 5-6 months.
Yeah, cool. Why'd you come to Jack's Barbershop?
One of my mates told me about him, and normally the places I go there and sort of cut above, and he's above and beyond for the style of and service.
Yeah, cool, man. And did you get your free beer when you went in?
Yeah, he always offers you a free beer.
Yeah.
Even a whiskey, like.
And that's cool. What haircut have you had today?
A low fade.
A low fade. How short do you go on the side?
One.
Yeah, looks nice, man. Looks sharp. You feel good when you get a haircut?
Man. Yeah. He treats you like one of the lads. Like he treats you like you've known all his friends. So he treats you like he wants to be treated. He treats everyone with respect. Like. I'll be back in another 3 weeks to have another fresh cut to see Jack. So see you in 3 weeks, mate.
Cheers, mate. So we've just left Jack Ludlow and his amazing team. All I've got to say is wow. You know, the man's an inspiration. Just walking into his shop and seeing the level of work that he's doing, not just as a barber, but as a barbershop owner, every customer when we was there, as he come through the door, he was on the ball, making sure everybody was looked after, making sure his team are on point as well. There's a young fella, Joey, who we met, was a very good guide for him, and I can see that young guy being a good barber as well, purely down to the way how Jack was with him and his staff, you know. And it also shows that being a barbershop owner or a manager ain't just about being good at cutting hair, being the best at cutting the hair, or working in the shop and putting in the hours. It's about customer care. It's about making sure your team are okay, making sure your team are comfortable, making sure that everybody who comes into the shop is coming into a good atmosphere, you know. When you walk into a barbershop, it's not just about you going there to get a haircut. In today's modern society, men go into the barbershop, so it's an escape. It's an escape from life and a chance to get away from your family and your wives or your kids for 5 minutes. So yeah, I have nothing but good things to say, and I'm very proud that he's part of this documentary. Got a little hour drive to see James Williams at Jim the Trims. He's just by Swansea.
On the way over to visit James, I couldn't help but think about the incredible things this guy has done for kids with autism. Believe me, this guy literally busts his ass all week in his shop, and then on his day off, he gives his time to help families with kids that have autism. As we walked into James's barbershop, he was cutting a client, so I felt honoured to be able to watch and learn something as a barber myself. After the cut, I was super excited to hear what James had to say about his movement.
I run a group, a non-profit organisation, which is called the Autism Barbers Assemble. Basically, what we're trying to do now is we're trying to raise awareness, obviously in the industry, to obviously get other barbers to understand how to work along children on the autistic spectrum, and obviously as a whole, because I say there's a lot of people out there that, you know, struggled. I mean, like I say, they find it tough to go to places where they can feel accepted, and you know, obviously I want to play a big part in that, because I want to help people start understanding more about it and not just see a child, because you know, as a child on the autistic spectrum will look the same as any other child, but obviously they act a lot differently, not deliberately, and I think people need to start recognising it a lot more, because I think it's wrong the way people judge, very judgmental, and you know, you shouldn't be like that in life really. So, you know, if you're a barber or you generally just want to get behind us, and obviously you can donate. We have our Facebook page, Autism Barbers Assemble. If you want to, you can inbox me personally on that, and obviously all I need is your shop address, and then obviously I will give you the payment details, obviously, because we're linked up with our Lloyds Bank, which is, you know, classed as a non-profit organisation, as I keep mentioning, just so people to clarify it. We will send you out the sticker. All you've got to do then is basically tag us in it, you know, hashtag Autism Barbers Assemble, you know, and hashtag Autism Awareness, obviously is another thing, so you want to push that out. And obviously the more barbershops we get involved, the more families are going to find a place to, you know, to obviously see there's a barbershop that's autism friendly, or even a hairdresser's.
Pleasure to having you on the show, mate, and we'll be in touch real soon. Got a long trip back home now. See you later, bro.
Have a safe trip, bro.
Thank you, mate.
Thanks again.
So unfortunately, that's our time done in Wales. We've had a great weekend, and it was an absolute honour meeting up with Jack and James, two great barbers in the industry at the moment, smashing it for the young lads. They're roughly the same age as me, and it's good to see guys my age and being such a big influence on the barber industry at the moment. For now, we're heading off down the M4 eastbound. We've got a bit more driving to do. We're heading into London. We're going to central London. We're going to go and see Dan Davies. This is why I've come here. Dan's a big influence for me, for myself. I actually sent Dan a CV when I was 13, and I never heard anything back. So I'm sure there'll be a few jokes he'll say about that.
Happened to my CV 13 years ago, man.
Wow, what do I say to this?
For my final stop on this trip, I travelled to my hometown of London to sit down with the man that inspired and taught me about leadership, Dan Davies. Would I ever be able to find out what happened to my resume all those years ago? Let's find out.
The general manager of Pall Mall Barbers, established in London since 1896. We have 4 wonderful shops, the original one being in Trafalgar Square, the other 3 being based in Westminster, Bishopsgate and Fitzrovia. We also do lots of events for lots of companies around the world, such as Jack Daniels, UEFA, MasterCard, Facebook, and we take our prestigious pop-up shop along there to demonstrate shaves and quality haircuts. So I started out cutting hair in the year 2000. I left the forces and needed a career, so I decided to have a look in my local paper, and there was a job for an apprentice hairdresser, which I took, with the main aim, to be honest, if I wasn't any good at cutting hair, I'd meet a lot of girls. Fortunately, I was good at cutting hair because I wasn't very good at picking up girls, and I started my career. I did an apprenticeship at a place called Ragdale Hall, where after about a year and a half they got fed up and fired me. That was my first setback in barbering, which there's a lot of. I was fortunate enough to have some friends who had a barbershop, and they taught me pretty much most of the basics for me to go and set myself a career. About 6-7 years ago, I came to London with my wife, and that's when I met Richard Marshall, the owner of Pall Mall Barbers, and we had a bit of a chat, and I started work as a barber. Shortly after I started work, there was things what I thought I could do to help Richard and Pall Mall on their journey. The ideas were good enough to put into practice, and so I soon became the store manager. After that, the business expanded, and then I became the general manager of the company, which has led to all sorts of wonderful opportunities for myself and the company. So yeah, it's been a real good journey, but the main thing I'd say to people is you're going to get a few setbacks, you're going to possibly work for a few muppets along the way, but if you keep your head and keep believing in what you can do, anything's possible and the dream's still alive.
Happened to my CV 13 years ago.
Wow, what do I say to this? So Jay handed in his CV 13 years ago. It was in crayon, so there was we couldn't really take it too seriously. But we're glad that he took up on board the advice what we gave him, and I'd like to think that all of Jay's success is down to us turning him down 13 years ago.